Gentlemen of the press, Professor Joe, one of our distinguished facilitators from the University of Lagos Business School, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to you all. My attention has recently been drawn to misconceptions and misrepresentations regarding my statements during an interactive session at the first edition of the Citadel School of Government Dialogue Series held on October 4, 2025, here at the lecture hall of the Citadel School of Government, and where again this press briefing is taking place today. On that occasion, I did state that I was being courted by the African Democratic Congress, ADC, with visits from some of the party's heavyweights, and now I have hitherto refused to accept the party's overtures, having played a role in the formation of the All Progressive Congress, APC. I also said that for the sake of our democracy, Nigeria needs a robust opposition party, not just the ruling party. The statement has indeed sparked a significant amount of discussion, drawing a mixed bag of reactions. Supporters have lauded it for its ideological clarity in the Nigerian political landscape, where leaders often seem to lack firm principles, shifting allegiances like a pendulum. On the other hand, my position has also aroused criticism, with some seeing the statement as a threat to their own political agendas or interests. Some have approached the situation with skepticism, having come to expect a lack of integrity among figures in politics, especially when those figures are tied to religious leadership. There have also been information manipulators, those who distort context and spread inaccuracies, whose actions remind us that when one takes the text out of context, one becomes a con. Among this last cohort are some grandstanding, blinkered, and self-projecting commentators who, despite their cloak of self-righteousness, may well be for sale and assume that everyone else is like them. I'm not swayed by shifting public opinion, whether it be from critics or from praise singers. At the beginning of my ministry, amid the flurry of attacks, the first message I preached was titled, "Dead to Public Opinion." I'm not a public commentator, and I do not react to sentiments. Left to me, I will not even respond to the misconceptions. However, I'm a vivid listener, and I value intelligent feedback from those around me and from well-meaning Nigerians. First, I took seriously the feedback of my honest admission that the name ADC, the acronym for the African Democratic Congress, actually reminds me of the name of an airline that suffered a plane crash sometime in Nigeria's history. To those commentators who have criticized as insensitive what was nothing more than a metaphor, I ask whether at some point in their careers they have used the Titanic as a metaphor to warn of pending danger. I also understand that that some have amplified that imagery to score political points and further denounce the ADC. For instance, on Thursday, October 9, 2025, the President of the Nigerian Senate, Senator Godswill Akpabio, alluded to the crash imagery in his description of the ADC in an exchange on the floor of the Senate with Senate Minority Leader, Senator Abamoro. According to the report, Senator Akpabio, in jubilation over the recent defections from other parties into the APC, said, "The umbrella is torn, Labour Party is scattered, and ADC crashed even before it took off." I cannot speak to Senator Akpabio's context or motivation for his statement, but let me state categorically and without equivocation that my statement on Saturday, October 4, did not in any way bring into the spotlight the victims of the October 29, 2006 ADC airline crash. I pray that all those with lingering pain from that event will find complete healing and comfort, that God will be the husband of every widow, the comforter of every widower, the father of every orphan, and the restorer of every family affected by that unfortunate event or by any of the many other calamitous events in the history of our nation. I trust God to give us a nation where transportation infrastructure, whether in the air or at sea, on the road, on the rail, or in the waterways, will become safe and accident-free. Unknown to many, that painful and unfortunate October 29, 2006 ADC plane crash led to the fulfillment of a prophetic warning God sent me as a young preacher to deliver to one of the most powerful traditional institutions and ruling families in Nigeria during the dark days of military rule. An instruction I obeyed at the risk of my life, traveling from Lagos to Sokoto to deliver that message. Pastor Sheyi Oluwashola was there with me in Kano. Today, that institution has recalibrated just as God had revealed to me and has been led by a nobleman, His Eminence Sahadu Abubakar, the Sultan of Sokoto, a well-respected friend and brother. Indeed, there is such a thing as prophetic similitudes or metaphors in the spirit. Let this undue controversy surrounding the ADC crash metaphor serve as a warning. Let every person saddled with the solemn responsibility of steering the ship of state at any level, whether local, state, or national, or in any arm of government, whether the executive, legislative, or judicial, learn from history and recognize the transience of power. For those struggling to obtain power, whether in the ruling party or the opposition, I hope they learn the lessons of history. I seriously hope that those in the cockpit of our nation's governance and those trying to change course mid-air will see the handwriting on the wall, even when written in parables, and will commit themselves to using power as a platform for service to the people rather than for self. He that has an ear, let him hear. Furthermore, still about the misconception around my statement on Saturday, October 4, 2025, it was brought to my notice that because I made that statement at the Citadel School of Government, there's a risk of the statement being misconstrued and misinterpreted to link the institution with partisanship. I want to state categorically that Citadel School of Government has no affiliation whatsoever with any political party and is completely Nonpartisan. Nigerian project. As a Nigerian citizen, Section 40 of the Nigerian Constitution guarantees my right to freedom of association, including the right to join a political party. My nation-building journey has seen me exercise this right. Like I stated on August 28, 2025, on the occasion of the Facilitators Workshop, where Citadel School of Government hosted facilitators from the University of Lagos Business School. The desire to bridge the gap between ideas and governance outcomes was what informed my foray into politics. From being a running mate to General Muhammadu Buhari, to being a facilitator of the merger that led to the formation of All Progressive Congress APC. It was also what propelled me into running the primaries of the party. These actions were all motivated by a genuine desire to offer Nigerians a chance at an irreducible minimum standard of governance. Despite these partisan engagements, I'm a nation builder with my face set like a flint on one goal: to facilitate the emergence of the new Nigeria, a Nigeria that works for every Nigerian in my lifetime. A peaceful, progressive, prosperous nation of endless possibilities. This goal, I believe, is shared by all well-meaning Nigerians. However, even though Nigerian political parties in most cases are not rooted in solid and lasting ideologies, I appreciate the right of every Nigerian to envision a unique, even if divergent, pathway to the Nigeria of our dreams. I understand that the various stakeholders in the Nigerian project have their ideas as to how to move the nation forward, and I respect their right to contend for such ideas in a competitive, peaceful, political, and intellectual arena. Nevertheless, I have my convictions as to the pathway to a great nation, a pathway that emphasizes leadership integrity, nationhood, and personal and national unity, federalized governance, national and subnational security architecture activation, pragmatic puritanism, in an anti-corruption fight led by a new breed without greed, a radical opposition to corruption, regionalized economic competitiveness built around the geopolitical zones, government-led massive investment in education and healthcare, a transparent, efficient, and digitally enabled social welfare system, private sector-led activation and growth of the real sector, public-private partnership in infrastructure delivery, international cooperation for national development, and so on. With these ideas, I have over the years engaged political leaders across the political party spectrum with a view to building a political family with a shared commitment to building a Nigeria that works for every Nigerian. This is why, despite my partisan engagements, I've remained a non-partisan nation builder at heart. I've done this in the hope that leaders can rise above party divides and the limitations of what I call our four-year electrocracy, and collaboratively and patriotically respond to the challenge of rebuilding our nation. I've worked closely with past presidents to achieve this, from President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan of the People's Democratic Party to the late President Muhammadu Buhari of the All Progressive Change or Congress. It's also this nation-building drive that informed my recent engagement with the current President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. My engagements with these and other stakeholders have been driven by the quest for leaders who respond to the challenge of building a new Nigeria, no matter who they are, what part of the country they come from, what political party they belong to, and by what religious inclination they identify. In all these engagements, I stand before God and people. I have never received any pecuniary or material benefits. Against this backdrop, just as I stated at the facilitators workshop, which I referred to earlier, all I have desired and still desire is that the trouble with Nigeria, which Chinua Achebe described as simply and squarely a failure of leadership, be resolved and reversed. It is in the bid to bridge this leadership gap that the Citadel School of Government was founded. Let me therefore re-emphasize the fact that Citadel School of Government is non-partisan and is open to every Nigerian who has a desire to make our nation great. Is open to every Nigerian with a track record of public or private sector impact and the willingness to cultivate the behavioral and technical competencies needed to lead locally, nationally, continentally, or globally. As part of this mandate, Citadel School of Government will churn out transformational leaders who will engage in credible and reform-oriented partisan politics on the various political platforms. However, Citadel School of Government will not, I repeat, will remain non-partisan in its vision, mission, and operations, building nation builders who will spearhead the emergence of a new Nigeria. It will never be partisan. It will be so that Nigeria can be a cutting-edge nation in which governance will be knowledge-driven, wisdom-governed, service-oriented, and local in impact. With this, I raise the matter. Thank you for listening. God bless you, and God bless our nation, Nigeria.